Bob, what's up? You guys doing okay?
Yes, sir. How are you? Good.
I like that.
All right. Well, y'all
You
have a
guys
good
take
one.
it easy.
No, not really. I told her you have to ask the software.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, wow.
Perfect?
Perfect. I don't need to do anything to it.
Great.
Well, I consider, Chris and Gina's vegan.
You know, I like that stretchy
I
material.
do too. That's why I said I hope this.
You know, Linda, those jackets were only like 65 bucks. They weren't.
Really?
Came out pretty good.
Yep. I have an assignment for you.
What's that?
Uh, See if you can get some
I have an assignment
Galena
for
Park
him too.
passes for Pastor Jones, Pastor Lacey, and the three pastors over there. They say, well, y'all just done forgot about us. I say, excuse me? Y'all used to give us a pass
For home game?
for the home games.
I can do that.
You know, one of those, I think it lets two or something like that.
I don't have a problem getting them in our stadium. It's
Yeah,
the
we
away
can't get them
stadiums I
away.
can't.
No, they just said, because I don't even know if they go to the way. And they might even use them. I think just the fault How are you? That they want somebody to
Test, test.
think about it.
Would you send me a text in the morning?
Yeah,
I get it.
okay.
No problem.
I sure will. Oh,
Do
man.
did Lacey tell you I saw him in Lake
He
Charles?
told me. He said, no, I came up here for a training, and Debbie was at the switchboard. And I said, I said, y'all down there? He said, yeah. He said, like nothing. That was Dr. Moore. I said, well, you know y'all were right across the street from his mother. I said, shit, he lives right there. I didn't realize. I said, oh, yeah, he went to that meeting. What? I said, yeah. I said, he knew all about when Christian went up there and everything.
Oh.
I said, didn't you go to McNeil?
So
And Terry?
Terry played softball with me.
Well, I remember that.
Talking about Pastor
Maggie.
Lacey at the restaurant.
Yeah. I mean, it was just so out of the
I
blue.
know
We
it.
were sitting there visiting, and it was just like, wait a minute, we know you guys. And then not 10 minutes after they go in and sit eating, a lady across the restaurant looks at me. She goes, Terry? Terry Wickett? I'm like, yes. And from high school.
Oh, my
I was like,
goodness.
From high school?
yes,
Well,
one of the
Debbie
girls
said
I
that-
played
she
softball
said
with
that
in high
restaurant.
school was eating at
It's the
the
best restaurant in
He had
Lake
gone
Charles.
to take his mom to
Which one?
Called Nina. It's called Nina
Really?
Pease.
And
Oh, the one
it
in
was
Louisiana.
one of my
It's
high
Lake
school
Charles,
parents.
and it's like a.
Classmates, and she's just
It's kind of like a little Cajun restaurant. They make the best piece of black and red fish I've ever eaten in my life. Uh-huh.
And there you go.
Two, and then when
Well, I need to
Lacey
go.
and his
If you
wife
could do me a favor
Yeah, what you
were
got?
coming into
and
the
reach
restaurant,
out to
we're like,
facilities or maintenance, whoever. My
yeah, we need to
God.
come to Lake Charles to go to this restaurant to see everybody we know.
Maybe I have.
We haven't had an AC in the concession stand. All
Okay.
screen.
What is this?
And it's freaking hot. We're
What
frying
is
and
this?
it's hot
That's like a
outside.
little gift.
So
Oh,
we
okay.
leave the boardroom door open because the boardroom AC's been working. Well, it's working double time now, and it's going to go out. And they're telling us it's going to cost $20,000 for a new unit. That's crazy. I mean, my house is bigger than that, and it's $10,000. But they keep coming to try to fix it, and it's creating more problems. Like all these lights, there's water now coming in them, so it's going to create more issues and damage.
now call this meeting to order. The time is 6 p.m. 5 p.m. Wow, I'm a little late. Huh?
What are you doing? What did you?
That's why I'm super late. We have no public comments for posted agenda items today. We will now turn the floor over to Dr. Robbie McGowan with Pfluger Architects and Ms. Terry Moore, who will facilitate the Board Trustee Team of 8 training.
Okay, I'll go first. Okay. All right, well, good evening, everyone. And we're just going to take a few minutes to review your KPI dashboard updates for the 25-26 school year. As you guys indicated in the spring semester, you were good with moving forward with the current goals we had in place and the objectives. We did make some minor changes in some of the wording to combine and remove, and also inside your folder you have a draft copy of the changes that are being planned for this school year that I'm going to go over for you right now, okay? The wording that we're going to eliminate from the dashboard. Now, just because we're removing it from the dashboard doesn't mean it's being removed from the district improvement plan. Just what we're going to report directly to you through the dashboard. Please remember, you have copy and access to the district improvement plan, and it is approved by you in the fall of each school year. So just because the wording may be eliminated from here, it is not removed from the district's improvement plan, okay? So goal number 1 is going to remain as is, of course, the mental, physical, emotional safety and health of your students. That goal is remaining. I do want to note a few minor changes to the strategies. Objectives are staying the same, but one of the strategies, we are going to eliminate the language for that third objective, the compliance for student discipline, is we're going to eliminate the wording about the transition plans for the alternative students because that is a compliance. It must occur in each case. This is not a new implementation from the school district, so this is a must happen 100% of the time, and those are reports that are filed separately, okay? So now that we are no longer in the implementation phase of that, we're at 100% requirement of that indicator. So we're just going to strike the language from your dashboard since it always has to happen. Another change we're going to make is at the end of providing the services and supports, we're just going to strike language that is another must occur with 100% required by law, is the training in the certain specific, the sexual abuse, the dating, the date training, the student, I'm trying to remember the language, it's dating violence, sexual abuse, the training on trauma, and things like that. Those are required with 100%. These were not indicators where you had a KPI indicator, so we're just going to take the extra wording off of the dashboard. It remains in the district improvement plan. It remains a requirement with 100% for the school district. The biggest changes, or the most additions, are occurring in goal number 2, student achievement and post-secondary readiness. You can see in objective number 1, we're changing the wording. This wording was college ready, and you can see the stripe. We're changing the wording to students who graduate college, career, and military. Because of there are new procedures for the CCMR credits that we're going to change the wording to be updated and match what your accountability reports are going to be at the end of the year. The 2 first ones where I have to be revised is a communication on a mishap on my part. They wanted the name of the person revised, not the actual objective. So these 2 first strategies that are struck, and we had already made copies and prepared, are remaining. They're still conducting the training of the ELA math teachers on the TSIA, and they're still going to provide those quarterly reports. So that language will remain on your dashboard. The department has asked and requested we add 3 additional strategies for it to be measured and reported on your dashboard. They're going to be reporting and measuring the number of students earning complete status through their programs of study, which has to do with the CTE, the college and the college and career CCMR. That is one of the indicators for the CCMR. So you're going to start seeing that as part of the KPI indicator when we're talking about the student success, is the number of students earning that complete status. You're also going to start seeing where they're going to track military recruitment and enlistment. So you'll see that as part of your dashboard, is the number of students who are enlisting and who are participating in recruitment activities. And then finally, within the college and career military ready, their goal is to increase the number of students passing their aligned industry-based certifications. You also can see it's going to be referred to as IBCs. So those are new strategies and new measurements that they're going to be tracking throughout this year just to complete that CCMR indicator. Previously, we were only reporting the number of students who were passing the TSIA exam and earning college ready. They're now going to report college, career, and military readiness for you. Okay? But you will still see graphs and charts and measurements for that one. The second one, dual credit, there are no changes there. They're still going to be monitoring the number of students who are enrolled in dual credit classes, and then measuring the percent of those students enrolled who earn the dual credit at the end of each semester. So no changes there. No changes on the STAR EOC scores. The goal is still to improve the scores each year in all categories. Increasing the attendance, promotion, and graduation rates. You are still going to get the graph and the charts reporting the attendance, graduation, and promotion rates. The biggest change here is we're striking objective number 5 and including that group in the wording for attendance and participation, okay? So these students are still being measured. They're just going to be measured in the same group and reporting as one of the other objectives, okay? Some wording changes in wide range of student opportunities. You're still going to get the chart letting you know which student opportunities we are providing for students, how many students are participating in those so that you can monitor that. The wording has changed into we're going to ensure 100% of campuses are offering a variety of activities in different categories. So we want to make sure that all schools are offering activities that it's a student choice activity, like cooking club or sewing club or things like that. We want to make sure all students have opportunity for a service activity, student council, girls club, boys club. I think there's anchor club and some of the other that are in the service category, and then also leadership opportunities. All of our schools will have student councils with the officers and other leadership opportunities. I think Cobb has the CLOC program, the campus leaders on campus. So we want to make sure that at each campus, not only are they getting a variety, they're within different categories as well. So you can see we just added the wording there to divide it by category. You can see we struck out language for number 2, but that language is now embedded in number 3. We just combined those two instead of having two separate indicators. That the district is going to provide district level competitions, events, and activities throughout the year. Okay. We're continuing with implementing the elementary academic academies and reporting those numbers. If you remember last year, we included the number of students who were new to our school district in the chart based on, since this is still one of the initiatives from that when we did the strategic planning 5 years ago. We want to finish the cycle with this one. The wording has changed from implementing a fine arts academy to supporting that fine arts academies at Pyburn and Cimarron, since those were implemented last school year. So just wording updates there. High quality staff. All of the measures are remaining here, still the focus on the certification of our teachers who are still working toward the certification, also conducting salary studies and surveys so that you guys can remain competitive in the area with our salaries and benefits. And then no other changes in the student, still keeping all of the KPI indicators in training for our aspiring administrators and increasing internal advancements and promotions. That information will still be reported to you through the dashboard. And in goal number 5, operational and fiscal support and responsibility. Indicators are remaining the same with the exception of the very last one when you're talking about the life cycle replacement and long-range plans. We're striking the language, forming that long-range committee because that work has been done. The bond was approved, and the language is changing to monitor and reporting on Bond 2024 to you guys as a board, either through board reports or through the dashboard, whichever is their preferred method. Okay? Questions for me about the changes being proposed to you for your dashboard this year? Very good. As always, as we work through the school year, if you have any questions or any concerns with the language or the wording, or if you're looking for anything new, just let me know, Miss Elizabeth or any of the other ladies know, and we can get to work on those for you. I do want to give a caveat. This is year 5 from our original strategic plan that we did 5 years ago when these goals were developed with these objectives. It is recommended 3 to 5 years for strategic planning, so I think it would be my best recommendation to you that as we get into the spring semester, we seriously consider going back out to the community, getting some community input, staff input, employee input on the current goals so that you guys can make an informed decision of what goals you want to move forward with starting next school year. Okay? All right. Thank you guys very much. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any way, is it appropriate to ask to, like every quarter, maybe a workshop on like a high-level overview of this?
Absolutely. We can do that. We can make that because that's what we report it to you quarterly. We can certainly do that in person versus just, absolutely. That is I can commit to that, absolutely. That we can do those.
If quarterly isn't appropriate, maybe twice a year.
Quarterly
would be great.
The reports are given to you quarterly, so that would be once the report is prepared, presenting it in person is not a problem at all. Okay. Okay. Anything else for me? All right. It was my pleasure seeing you guys, and I'll be here a little bit when we're talking about the interviews as well. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
No, you're good. You're good. Put it up. Okay. Is that good? All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to see everyone. I'm grateful to be back. Thank you for inviting me back. And want to start with a word of gratitude for you. Thank you for your service, and thank you for being here and choosing to be here tonight. And this is my first chance to say congratulations. That is an excellent honor to be selected as one of the honor boards, and I know it's not over yet, though. I mean, I am well aware of where I am, and I know that you guys, it's not just good enough to make the playoffs. You want to win it all, right? So we that's what we're going to work on a little bit here tonight. I really think, I've been here and had the opportunity to do team building with this group several times, and every time it's very meaningful. And I think this format, what we're going to do with the time I have with you this evening, to me is one of the best forms of team building that I've done with boards, because it gives you an opportunity to really focus on the progress that you make as a group working with your superintendent here. And it's really a chance to brag on your district and the work that you do as a board. So I know that's easy for me to say because I'm not the one that's going to be in the interview next weekend, but I do encourage you to try to take that mindset about this process, is that this is an opportunity for us to go in and really tell our story. You're going to hear this word story from me several times tonight. It's really going to be kind of conversational here at the beginning. I want to talk about just some general suggestions that I have. I will tell you that these suggestions come from the wisdom of former or of trustees and superintendents who have gone through this process, that I always pick their brain after every year when we have a board that does this. I'm always asking them what their experience was. And so I just want to share that with you tonight. I think I saw, I appreciated Elizabeth shared with me some of the things that they've been sending home and sharing with you. And one of the things I saw is that when we talk about interview questions, there's really no such thing as a right or wrong answer. And that's true. It's really more of the how and how you approach that. Again, how you tell your story. And so we'll go through some suggestions tonight, like rules of thumb, but please don't get too hung up. If there's something that I want you to get hung up on, I'll let you know. But if I just happen to say something as a suggestion, I don't want it to interfere with you feeling comfortable in telling your story. I don't know, each of us is different. I don't know, I know Dr. Moore, you do a lot of speaking as a superintendent, you have to do a lot of speaking. I was never one that was really good with a script because I got so worried about following the script that I would lose my train of thought. So I want you to feel comfortable of going in this room and again, just sharing your story as trustees and as a team. So you should have a agenda in front of you. Does everyone have an agenda that has in your folder. It has the district logo at the top. Okay, great. So I want to go through some things these are things that you would want to convey in the interview. And again, I've seen the information that's been going out to you in your board updates. So a lot of this will be a repeat of what has already been being shared with you. So these are things that you want to convey within your answers, right? They're not necessarily the exact answer, but you want these elements, these concepts to kind of rise to the top as you're having these conversations. So board chemistry. And listen, you're going to be in there for half an hour. There is no way this committee of superintendents in that half hour is going to be able to fully assess whether you have good board chemistry or not. So, since they can't, it's good to say that you do. A way to bring that up in some of your answers. They're not going to ask the question, do you have good board chemistry? First of all, they're not going to ask a yes or no question. But to convey that, because they won't be able to observe that in just that half hour. Now, they have your application information, which obviously was amazing. But they're going to want to hear that kind of rise to the top. Trust, another one, I don't have that written down, but another one I think that goes with trust is transparency. So this building trust both within the team and the community and operating in transparency. I think those are good phrases that you'll want to think about. Team approach, that you take a team approach. This is the old adage of there's no I in team. So we, that is great to hear rather than I. And so I think that's something to keep in mind. Knowledge of public school issues. Now, I don't want to scare you about that one. It's not that you have to know a lot. They're not going to ask you what House Bill 213 from the last legislative session has to say. And in fact, they shouldn't, because in your role as a board member, you don't necessarily have to know some of those details in that amount of like granular detail. But just knowing, for instance, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a question about, maybe it's in regards to safe and secure schools. Maybe it's in regards to challenges with limited financial resources. Just general, how are you addressing the general issues that face public schools? So just being knowledgeable enough to be conversational about that. Respect for your teammates. Now, what's a way, other than talking about it in your answers, what's another way that we could convey that in the interview? In that 30-minute window, what's a way you could convey respect for your teammates?
Just not talking over one another, making sure that we are engaged when others speak.
Okay, so not talking
and when one of
over.
us disagree, and this takes place, we talk about it.
Right.
Each one, if I say, well, no way, I don't agree with that, he'll say, well, why, Miss Linda? Let's talk about it and go from there, and the whole group.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's in itself.
So if you have a question, if a question is, how does the board resolve conflict, then that would be a good thing to bring up. And then some of those little things within the interview, Adrian, like you were saying, is as simple as not stumbling over each other. If you're ready to, if you want to add something, wait until your colleague is completely finished and look at each other when they're speaking. Instead of looking at the panel, look at each other. So Mr. Art, if you were, and I'm one of your fellow trustees, while you were answering a question, I would be, even though you may be looking at the committee answering the question, I would be looking at you, kind of the nodding of the head. Now do it naturally. Let's, I don't want you to, I don't want you to walk out of there and we're like the bobblehead giveaways from the Astros game. But you know what I mean. It's like sometimes, I know this never happens to any of y'all, but every once in a while my wife will say, Robbie, are you listening to me? And that probably means I'm not listening to her. And so she knows I'm listening to her if I'm making eye contact and if I'll nod periodically. And so anyway, it's just, but again, be yourself. Be yourself in doing that. Knowing the role, and this, I don't have any concern with it because of the amount of time I've been working with y'all, but knowing the difference between the roles of the board and the superintendent. Although those jobs are intertwined, they are different. And so your audience that morning will be a panel of superintendents. And so they're going to be listening through that superintendent filter. And so, having a way of conveying that, we operate in governance, we monitor progress and our goals and offer support to the superintendent who determines the how it is that we reach our goals. And so just being able to convey that, the governance and management and how those work together is good. Again, I don't think they'll explicitly ask you a question like, well, tell us the difference between governance and management, but if you can kind of sneak that into some of your answers, I would suggest that. And that kind of goes, actually I skipped one, hang on a second. Commitment towards shared goals, so that we may disagree. Like you were sharing earlier, we may disagree, but at the end of the day, we have shared goals. that we want to accomplish, and we talk through those in a way that when the conversation ends, we are all on board with helping to achieve the goals for our students. Relationship with the superintendent, that kind of goes along with that board superintendent roles. Just they obviously, that group of superintendents who are on the panel probably want to see a board who highly respects, and I know you do, highly respects and appreciates their superintendent. Again, let's let it be natural. Don't be over the top, but let that come through. We talked earlier about this, but listening skills. If you're, and this is hard to do as well. I am often guilty of this in a conversation, but I may be thinking, oh, I want to say this in reference to an answer. Like I have this thing that I want to, or in reference to a question, excuse me, I have this that I want to answer, and Ms. Hernandez answers first, and then if I repeat exactly what she just said, then I probably wasn't listening to her, right? I was thinking about the next thing I was going to say. So really make sure you're listening closely to your teammates as they're answering that. Loyalty to the district, loyalty to this team. Obviously, I think that comes through naturally. I would be surprised if there's not some sort of question about overcoming adversity or dealing with conflict. I said earlier, you're going to hear me say the word story several times tonight. I would, even if that type of question isn't explicitly asked, I think it is very impactful with the committee if you have a story, especially a story where the district may have overcome adversity, helping students overcome adversity, whatever that may be. We'll get into talking about those specifics when we do some questions. But thinking about that, and if that's an important part of your story, don't worry about that resurfacing in more than one question. Because if it's something that y'all really feel like will resonate, then my guess is there will be a way to weave it in to more than one of the questions. So we'll talk about that when we get into the specific questions. But I have yet to talk to a superintendent or board members who have gone through this where there wasn't some sort of question where they ask you about either dealing with conflict or overcoming adversity. Setting priorities, you guys do that really well. Y'all have a tangible way. I mean, your dashboard there and how you set your priorities, and so that kind of goes along with your governance role of establishing the vision and then the goals of the district, and then obviously just student-centered. That just needs to come through with everything really that you answer, is that at the end of the day, it's, and I don't know what your number is now. What's the enrollment number? The latest one, 20,000. It's those 20,000 plus kiddos that are really at the end of the day, that's who it's all about. And so just making sure that's reflected in those. Questions or thoughts about those characteristics?
Robbie, I have a question.
Okay.
So, I'm like you. I think that we're going to get asked a question about adversity and kind of how we dealt with that. Just thinking about some of the things. But one of my question is, we need to come up with something that we at this board, right? Not because the first thing that came to my mind was COVID and the challenges that created, and kind of how we got through that. But some of the members that are right here right now were not there during that time. So I think we need to come up with something that we can all kind of rally around and discuss if asked, or be able to readily communicate when all this particular board was here.
I think I appreciate that you use that example too, because while certainly there are probably examples from COVID that can be shared, is that going to stand out to the committee as something that's more unique? Not that you would be the only district in the state dealing with whatever this adversity is, but is there something that even in the adversity itself may have some uniqueness to it?
I was gonna say that one, can we talk about what we need?
Yeah.
Adverse things.
And if you don't mind, I want to interject. I think it needs to be something more recent that they see that you're just dealing with right now. So even one of your stories is our legacy clinics and the adversity the community was going through, and the reason why the legacy clinics was so important for you guys. Do you see how the legacy clinics are a huge part of your story here in the school district? That is unique. Other school districts do not have legacy clinics and the amount of emotional and health supports in their school districts. And so so think about why you did it. It was the adversity of the health of care availability. And so think more along those lines. It doesn't have to be a specific amongst yourselves as a board. The community was going through adversity, and so you addressed it as a board, and we're currently doing it right now. And to me, that's more unique than, so along those lines. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the legacy, but something along those lines.
So you could make the point that COVID helped us recognize a problem, the need. And since then, we've been working on fulfilling that need, and we've been growing each time. And I mean, the numbers of kids that we've seen in that program are staggering. And if you start spitting out numbers, before this year started, it was 35,000 visits. I mean, you start talking about 35,000 visits, of which over 50% were socio-emotional visits. So now you're talking about 17,000+ kids saw somebody for their socio-emotional difficulties that they've been dealing with, which may have been spurred on or made us recognize the need during COVID, but it's a present problem that we are currently dealing with every day. And if you can weave into that, the good news is we're able to take care of that at school, and they don't miss their academics. So look at what that turns in our accountability scores.
Exactly. Parents don't have to leave.
That's right. So that's,
I guess what I was trying to convey is, so it does, I mean, that question doesn't necessarily mean adversity that this board faced in dealing with a specific situation. It could be what you guys discussed.
Right.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, I think that's what
that's
Terry
great.
was saying about it doesn't have to be adversity within the board.
Perfect.
It's really your community. How did you help lead your community
Right.
to deal with challenges?
Don't equate it to like you guys not getting along or
Right.
fighting. That's not like, you guys don't fight. Y'all don't. Y'all are so collaborative, and I think that's what makes you guys unique. And so when you're thinking of adversity, obstacles, or overcoming those type of questions, it's how did you do it as a board? It not necessarily with each other, but for the community, overcoming something for the students or for the staff.
Perfect.
Through your leadership of the school district.
Perfect. That's exactly the clarification that I
address
wanted.
something there, because I think that one of the big secrets for us is that the public doesn't know our disagreements.
Right.
We don't
Doesn't what?
always see- The public does not know our disagreements. The fact that we are not on the news for internal or public, discourse, that says a lot about our board, because we let our leadership handle the business of running the district. And if we have a disagreement, we do it privately, and then we come out still as a united front.
Yeah.
So whenever we talk about districts and talk to other entities, how do y'all stay so united? So we get out of the way. Yeah, that's honestly the words that I use.
I would say my suggestion with that is to focus on the part you talked about focusing on the board's role in that. I would, I would leave it more at that than the whole, we handle our issues in private, because what I know what you mean by that is that what you meant is we talk them out, we talk through them, but what I would not want to do is someone to misinterpret that about the whole transparency issue.
Gotcha.
So I really think if there is a question, which again would not surprise me, but if there is a question that maybe gets to how do you, if there's a difference of opinions, or if there's different thoughts on approaches among the board, how do you approach that? I think first and foremost, say, well, the number one thing we ask ourselves is, what are we operating within the board's role and what our responsibility is? Number one. Number two, with this issue, how is it going to help us move towards where we want our students to be? And then does it reflect the values of our community? And approach it that, and then we talk that out, because yes, there are 7 individuals on the board, an 8th individual that we work with as a superintendent, which means there may be 8 opinions, and we respect each other enough that we can work through those. So that would be my suggestion on how to handle that piece. Now back to the legacy clinics, is that? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that before we get into questions. So I really like just in what little I've heard about it. I like it because I think there are several of these characteristics that we talked about that you want to convey that can be reflected in that story.
Yeah.
So can student-centered be reflected in that story?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Can you're obviously dealing it with and overcoming adversity?
Uh-huh.
What about this trust and building trust within the community?
Yes.
All right. And so there are lots of those. Even the commitment to shared goals can be reflected in that, because as someone mentioned, if we don't provide for our students in this manner, how can we expect them to be fully present and ready to learn, right, in the classroom? And how does that impact our staff as well? So anyway, if that's kind of the one that you think would resonate, which it sounds really good to me, I would encourage you. Now again, let's don't everything in moderation. It doesn't need to be the answer to every question,
Right.
but I would consider it a good thing if maybe there were a way to weave it in more than once, maybe 2 or 3 times with them, because that really makes it more of a story.
We do have a story.
Okay.
And that's the difficult part,
Yeah.
is that we've got a lot of stuff going on in Galena Park I.S.D.
Yeah.
And we have stuff that's what's good for kids. Legacy Clinic is a plus. We have dual credit.
Right.
The haves and the have-nots. Kids that do not have the funds,
Right.
we're paying for them so that they can take the test as well. There's several programs going on.
Right.
Opportunities to with Korean technology, when they bring those 6th graders over to the barn and let them explore.
Oh yeah. And there will be ways to talk about some of those initiatives as well. And so that's really good to remember, to have specifics, because the more specific you can answer a question, and remember, when I say specifics, I'm not saying that you have to know all of the details.
Right.
But if you have some specificity, rather than saying something general like, well, we offer lots of opportunities for students to be exposed to different career areas when they're in elementary school and junior high. That's going to be lost, right? But if you can say something specific, given a specific example, that's going to be a better chance of it sticking in the mind of the folks who are the panelists.
I think another one is our creation of the academies. You know, that definitely answered a need or for the community as well as our students.
Okay.
So we could definitely expand on.
Tell me more about that.
So we created 2 STEM academies as well as 2 arts academies.
Okay.
And so in my eyes, or in our eyes, you know, being competitive in this area is extremely important, and we want to make sure that our students are being taken care of and introduced to various different subjects and careers, and that was one of our ways of being competitive in this area. So.
Okay, yeah, especially when you can tie it to your learning goals and your co-curricular and extracurricular goals. I think those are good examples too, when you can give those specific. That's why I asked you to tell me a little bit more about it. So if you were to say, someone were to mention academies, I would go into a little bit more specificity about what are we talking about when we say academies. An academy, I don't know who the panelists are going to be, but the word academy and Marfa I.S.D. may mean something different than it does in Galena Park I.S.D.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I
Sherry,
add a
were you
piece to
gonna
that?
say
Yeah.
STEM.
So when
Yeah,
that
cool.
academy, where you're selling your story is why you approve those things. Why are those your priorities? Like you just explained, we wanted our students to have that choice. We wanted our students to remain competitive. So it's not just what we're doing, it's why you guys set it as a priority for our students is a little bit of the story behind it. And that shares a little bit of your passion, and that you guys can all, and that's where you're going to get the nodding when you start talking about your priorities and everybody. That's where the nodding is going to happen naturally. So it's why did you do the legacy clinics? You know, so the question's not going to be tell us about some of the initiatives you did in your school district. It might see how do you set your priorities? And well, one of your priorities is providing student choice and opportunities for students, such as the academies, and why you did those.
And Terry, I'm glad you mentioned the word passion. So I looked at the list. I can't remember who the other 4 honor boards are. My guess is all 5 of the honor boards are going to have good board chemistry. They're going to have good board processes and standard operating procedures and things like that in place. But what, at the end of the 5 interviews, whose story is going to stand out? And sometimes that stands out because of passion and because of just human relatability. And I'm not saying that it has to be a fabricated sob story, but if they see your passion and they see your commitment to kids, and especially helping kids that need all the help they can get, then those are the thing. There's a little bit of heartstrings to this, as much as there's about good governance. And so I would encourage you, again, do it naturally. Don't go home and practice your acting skills of how to make yourself cry or anything like that. But let that natural passion come through of why we do the things we do.
And I think that we could also capitalize on our SPED programs and the fact that we have that buddy relay, which, you know, a lot of, I don't know of any other school district doing that. The fact that our leaders, you know, in SPED, they also work with disabled kids on the side. So in our community, you know, they run our Challenger League, and when you have individuals or teachers or leaders that are doing that all day, and that's a tough job, but then they also do it in the community to make sure that those kids get an opportunity that they wouldn't have otherwise. And the fact that we were able to bring that program to every school, I think that was some adversity that we faced. You know, because when you've made relationships with a certain school because your kid's been required to go there, and you have those teachers that you have that bond with, and then it's like, oh, now we got to pull you to your campus, because even though enrollment's going down, our SPED enrollment is going up every year. And so now we need to move you to your campus, and we're gonna do it in a 2-pronged stage so that it's easier for everybody to adapt and transition. I think that's huge.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Good. I think y'all have already been, which doesn't surprise me because I know a lot of great things about Dr. Moore, and one of which is he is a highly organized guy. I don't mind saying that in front of him, but it sounds like y'all have your logistics down, but just for my sake, I want to, well, and I probably should give other people in the room credit for some of that too. So it sounds like y'all got your game day uniform down. Is there anything we need to talk about that?
Our stylists have styled us from head to toe.
Okay. Uniform I was in the Corps at A&M. We called that uniform of the day, so y'all know what your uniform of the day is. Okay.
But if we're unclear, maybe should make sure.
All right, so Friday, it's blue. Men in blue suits, got a green tie. Ladies, you have a pink and green scarf, and we all have a lapel pin, okay, that we can wear.
We're AKAs for the day? We're going to be AKAs for the day?
No, sir.
So
We will not be AKAs. I don't know who decided to get those pink and
Saturday,
green.
Can you bring some extras of these?
You know how to say
pins.
it?
Well, we debated on whether we should give them to you this early.
Exactly.
I'm worried about that.
I got told y'all all were responsible
Someone's in
adults.
trouble
to give them to
Exactly. I'm trying to sneak that
Well,
one in.
I picked mine up off the floor, so I didn't even know.
This is what I'm
There you
talking
go.
about.
Okay, so Saturday is the gray jacket, white top, black pants, okay? We will have to go on Sunday if we're a winner, and we'll talk about that after we win. We'll talk about whether we should all wear the same or just wear a suit. We would be a panel on stage then, but then we got the logistics of Thursday. For the afternoon session, I know a bunch of y'all have to go to an afternoon session. Jose is going to take a Suburban down there, so anybody that wants to ride with Jose just needs to let him know
Well,
if we need to.
There's a change of plans. I'm in the leadership TASB.
So you're already there?
I'll be down
Okay,
there.
well, there'll be a Suburban leaving here, taking you to drop you off on Thursday afternoon, one way or another. Call me, we'll work all that out. If you want to take your own vehicle down there, you're more than welcome to do that. I know, Adrian, you're already down there, but I'm just worried about parking. I don't know how that's all going to work out. Friday morning, we need you in the building at 8 o'clock. So a Suburban will leave here, maybe two Suburbans will leave here Friday morning at 6:45. You're going to give us an hour and 15 minutes to get it. 8 o'clock. And I know it's only a 15-minute ride.
That traffic is unreal.
We have to be at the convention center at 8. So we're going to leave at 6:45 because Elizabeth went down there just the other day, got in some traffic, and it took her an hour to get there.
I go 2 days a
And
week
you
to the
gotta
medical
park,
center,
you gotta-
to the cancer center, and it's gonna take a good hour. I go for a 9 o'clock appointment with
Yeah.
my husband, and the traffic is a
So
nightmare.
we're going to leave here at 6:45. Once again, I know, Adrian, you're already there. Anybody that wants to already be there, that's fine, but we will have a Suburban, two Suburbans possibly going that way, and we'll get them parked and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll discuss our trip back and all that, once we get down there. If some of you have people pick you up, that's fine. We'll bring a Suburban back. We'll cart you back during the day. We'll do whatever we need to do after the interview.
Okay, so if somebody wants to come back, like Friday, I don't wanna be there all day.
We'll bring you
I
back.
can't be all day, or if I can take an Uber.
Hey, we'll Uber you back, we'll bring you back, depending on, we got you, one way or another, we got you. So, Saturday, of course, you can bring your spouses in
Yeah,
the
but I
morning, and we
can't
have
go
lunch
ahead
with
and-
them. And then I just found out we have a separate dinner with Region 4, and that doesn't include spouses, but it includes our big party.
This Friday.
And we'll give you some more details on that kind of stuff. So, and then, once again, if we go Sunday, we'll have to cross that bridge,
I'll be there.
when we get there.
So 9 o'clock at night every day.
So they'll gather you they'll have a room there for you, and so you'll have a room, it's kind of the waiting room, and
We're first.
okay, y'all are first. Okay, that's good. So you won't have to wait in the waiting room very long. Yeah, yeah. They get you in there, then somebody from TASA will come and get you and bring you in. You'll be, every room is different. But typically what they have is they'll have you set up in a setup like something like this, where the panelists will be facing you. They will talk to you about the time. They have a certain number of questions. The whole interview is only a half an hour. Have a certain number of questions, and they have a 3-minute time limit on questions. And so they'll explain to you the process of how they'll let you know how you're doing on time. The superintendent is provided 3 minutes at the beginning to give a basically introduction and explain why he nominated you as honor board. So I know he's already got that taken care of. 3 minutes actually, and I'm going to do, when I start asking you questions here in a little bit, I'm going to have my phone out because I'm going to be using my timer. And 3 minutes is longer than you may think.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Doesn't mean you have to fill up the entirety of the 3 minutes. So if you don't have something really of substance to add, I don't want you to feel like if there's a few seconds left that you have to fill something in, that they can move on to the next question. A couple of other logistical things before we get into the mock interview. It is important, we talked earlier about kind of respecting each other, not talking over each other, listening to each other. It's also important that they get a chance to hear from each and every one of you. And now that doesn't mean that it has to be exactly the same, but there does need to be interaction from everyone on the board. The other thing about that is you may want to talk, y'all may have already been talking about this, but there may be some of you who feel more comfortable with specific topics if they happen to come up. So I think that's good to have those conversations as a group ahead of time, so that you kind of know who may be, even though it won't be as literal as saying, oh, okay, well, Mr. Garcia is going to answer that question because it's about school finance. It'll just be if that's who y'all have designated as your school finance expert. If you hear a question about public school funding, you may kind of pause a little bit and give Mr. Garza, Mr. Garza a chance to mention that or bring that up. Are you the school finance
Nope.
expert?
That's why I said.
That would be Jose.
Somebody else.
That's the question,
Okay.
Robbie. Will they ask us individually, or they'll just put the question out there?
The question will be to the board.
Okay.
The
So-
question will be to the board.
If more than one of us want to answer, as long as we're listening and not repeating, like you said, we can, but we still have to stay within that 3 minutes for each
Yes,
question.
it's not 3 minutes for
Individual,
just one
right.
person, because
One
I said
question.
3 minutes takes a long time. In fact, I would say if one person takes up the entirety of the 3 minutes, that's probably a little too long.
Okay.
Yeah, you want a couple of people per.
Yes, add-ins onto the question are good. If you just want
Encouraged.
to acknowledge what you already heard and then add on is absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just and try, just try your best. I know it's hard when you're nervous, but try your best to listen to your fellow trustee so that, like Terry said, you can add on or acknowledge that and then kind of build upon it. But yeah, I would say it would be rare if someone were to singularly take up the 3 minutes. But yeah, try to spread. So what does that mean when we say kind of spreading the wealth? Well, if you have answered a lot of them already, then you may want to sit back and I've seen the acronym of WAIT, W-A-I-T-Y-M-I, talking, right, kind of thing. So I get it. I have a lot to share. I'm excited. Some people, when they get nervous and excited, they want to talk a lot. Some people don't want to talk at all. And so thank you, Norman. Y'all know who you are, and so just self-awareness is important. And if you're one of those that when you get nervous, you don't want to contribute, then just kind of give yourself a little pep talk and get in there and contribute. And if you're one of those that if you get nervous and you just want to talk a lot, then you may have to think about that WAIT every once in a while and give a teammate an opportunity. All right. Other things we want to talk about, either logistically or just characteristics or anything, before we get into the questions, before I start asking?
I want to bring something up for you.
Okay.
So one of the things that we haven't brought up is the dynamics of our district. All right? And so, I'm a guy like, I watched Jalen Hurts do his commercial this summer in one of our schools, and he told me he always watches film before he performs. So he would watch himself on the video monitor, then he'd redo it. He'd watch himself redo it, watch himself redo it. So I've been watching some film, I've been doing some homework, and I know that we are the school district in the 5, I know that we're 88.9% low socioeconomic, and the next one closest to us is 75. And I know that the rest of them aren't even close to that. So I think we need to really tell our story about who we're serving. I think it's huge, number one. I think number two, I think we just passed a record-sized bond here in Galena Park I.S.D., and we passed it for a community that's by far in the minority of the voters. By far. So we got the taxpayers in the competing community to vote for the minority community to have a $300 million plus high school. That is at 76%.
Yes.
That is huge. Remember who you're talking to, superintendents that struggle with all that kind of stuff. So I think we need to remember that, our special ed situation, our legacy situation. So our story needs to have those points in it that we can use in their questions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And we need to talk about the things that everybody else doesn't have.
Right.
The bond situation, they don't have that. The legacy situation, they don't have that. Everybody has some dual credit, some special ed, but everybody doesn't pay for their kids to do dual credit. That's a big deal. Everybody doesn't have a group of special ed teachers running the Challenger League. That's a big deal. So mentioning what we do on a regular basis is important, but talking specifically about what we do that makes us special is going to make us the champion.
What is special is not that we have 89% ED, it's the high level of performance and opportunities experienced by those students.
Right.
That's what is special, not that we have that student group. There's other school districts that look like us, but they don't perform like us. And so what do you do? What do you do as board members that contributes to that? Does that make sense?
And
So it's not just that we're ED. I have the high ED percentage. It's the performance level of those students. Think about the band performance.
Right.
When they're the only Title I band
That is
in the top 10.
Yep.
In the whole state of
In the
Texas.
whole state of Texas. So what did you do as board members, right? So how did your priorities as board members and through your leadership contribute to that? Does that make sense? So that's your story. And I don't think your passion is going to have, if you guys, and so like if you're nervous about talking, you're going to be thinking, oh, what examples do I know that I can add on that he's explaining how we set priorities? Well, what's an example of a priority we set that made a difference for our community?
Right.
Norma, you should easily be able to talk about Galena Park High School. It's your passion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Spit it out. With that big smile you got on your face. Right?
Well, and like Dr. Epps was highlighting just for me, and I wrote it down, it's when you guys decided to participate in the legacy clinics, that was a cost involved in that at a time where budgets were being cut, that you had to commit and prioritize that we want to spend these funds in a very scary financial time for the long-term benefit of your students. It wasn't about just how are we helping them this year, it's how are we making the community better over our service years. What is your legacy you're leaving for the students of Galena Park? Not just I'm serving these 2 years, it's like how am I contributing to the betterment of our community?
And I think, like, because of the things that the board agrees on and the school district implements, like the Legacy Clinic, that's why a $530 million bond could be passed at 76%, because the community trusts us. Yes. Not only is it hard enough to get a bond on a ballot, but they trust us and trust the decisions that we make.
That's true. And we educate our board. We educate our community too.
Right.
We don't just say we're passing a bond. We go out there.
We operate
and we
in
talk to them.
transparency
Yeah,
and
very
that builds
transparent.
trust.
Like that 2 years, we never laid nobody off.
Right.
Never. I mean,
Y'all were committed to that. So do you see how y'all just built on each other? That's the dynamics that needs to happen in the and then that how you just added on to each other shows your commitment and your passion, and you're sparking off of each other. That demonstrates the collaborative teamwork and respect of each other, that you can do that throughout the questioning.
And with the KPI dashboard, that's how we're able to see where we're lacking and what we need to improve on, and make sure that we have the right goals in place. Because even in a, LMI or Title I, we can see on that dashboard that more kids are passing the STAR test, more kids are passing the, getting dual credit and the AP exams. That continuously goes up because we're monitoring that.
Okay.
All right, are we ready?
Yep, ready.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask questions. I've got my timer here. I've got my timer set for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And so I will let you, it may have a little sound that goes off, even though my phone's on silent, but if not, I'll just raise my hand whenever we're at, so we know we got 30 seconds to kind of wrap it up to get to the next one. We're going to go a little longer than your regular interview because I have several questions I want to ask. And so I'd rather you be exposed to more questions than to try to, so if you're looking at your overall watch and think, oh, we've gone a little bit longer than 30 minutes. I do.
You want to take a little 5-minute break, make sure nobody's got to go to the bathroom?
Yeah,
like the superintendent?
Yeah. Let's do that. I'll give you some final instructions and then we'll start. Yeah.
You said it?
You want to get you something to eat?
No.
You're not hungry, are you?
Questions?
You did give him a hard time. You used some pink and green.
I know it. I think Dr. Epps did that. Putting us in that pink and green.
Ace was at Ace, he didn't have the band. He didn't have the option to participate in the band. So the band director actually went over to Ace and talked to the student. And the student, and he promised the student, he was like, if you get all of your credits, you will be able to participate in spring band. So of course the student was motivated and got all his credits and went to, and was able to go back to the high school and participate in band. That's not the end of the story. He ended up graduating. He is one of 7 children. His parents did not have a high school degree. So he is the only person with a high school degree in his family. But not only that, he's a student at OSU right now. I think he's majoring in music education. And he will be participating in, I guess, our homegrown program where he will come back and teach at GPISD.
That's great.
So that is, to me, I was like, okay, we can have these stories where we can kind of intertwine. I don't know how long that took me to tell that story.
But that's good, you know, because
But that's an example
That's
of,
right.
of our GPISD community coming together and really supporting the students.
well,
So-
you know, I don't know that they will ask a question, you know, about us as board members. But, you know, we've got a board president that came to this district and was bused to a bilingual program because he couldn't speak the language. He had to leave his school and come to Jacinta City Elementary. We have another one that was at Jacinta City and went all the way through. And during that time, it was probably a very small number of Hispanics in the whole district. And then we have another one right over here that had to kind of serve in a leadership role with her siblings and get them through school. And then there's little old me, who have served both sides. You know, I mean, there's a love for this district among the people. And everybody else, this is a parent. Norma taught her first job was at Galena Park, coming all the way through until her retirement. You don't think she have a passion for both sides of this interstate?
Yes.
Same thing with Adrian. So this board, I don't know if you remember, Rob, when I first got on the board and I was going through the training, and I'll leave these names, name lists was said, well, I got on the board because of this, and I got on that because of this.
It wasn't anybody from here.
It wasn't,
these are the
and
others
I
that
was
did.
like, well, you know, that's not my story.
Right.
And they were like, what? I said, that's not my story. I said, I got on here because I felt like I could make a difference, and I could serve, and I live in this community. I'm not mad at anybody. I don't, and that was our conversation that the whole time I was going through his training. You know, oh, I got on that because I wanted to show this superintendent. Like, oh my God.
I don't know that they'll ask a question either like that. However, there may be a question about, you know, if the answer to the question is about how you work with, you know, when you talk about respecting each other, when maybe there's conflict or disagreement.
So, Rob,
you'd say, I respect because I know these people. I know their story. I know how much they love this district. I know that this trustee, you know, experienced this as a student in this district, or this trustee started her career and all the way through to retirement. Though that's how you wrap that into an answer.
so I get a 3-minute opening, and I'm going to introduce each one of y'all. That's what I'm going to do with my 3 minutes. They're going to know your story. That's what I'm going to tell your story, okay? And I'm going to say something like, you know, I could use my 3 minutes to talk about all the great things our district has done, but I'm going to allow our board members to do that because they know it all. I want to tell you why the board members are great individually, and then collectively as a group, you'll understand. And I'm going to tell y'all story.
You're gonna need more than 3 minutes for Ramon, I'm just saying.
Well, I'm not going to talk about any of his discipline.
I'm going to tell the whole story.
So yeah, so I'll tell y'all story. I'll tell them what your backgrounds are, how you got here, and and all that. So I'll help with that. And then you guys will have to tell the story of our accomplishments, the things you've worked hard to make sure we do, you know, the questions you ask.
You know, Ms. Linda, I think that's a really good point, because even in the questions that they're asking, you know, we can work that in, that, hey, the reason that we do a certain thing is because of the passion that the board members have from around the room, because they are invested in this community.
That's right.
From 50 years ago.
Uh-huh.
All right, so one last thing, because I do, even though we may go a little longer, because I'm going to ask more questions, I want to try to replicate the interview as closely as possible. So for that reason, we'll just go from question to question, and then at the end we'll talk about, I'm going to be taking notes, we'll talk about all the questions. So I don't want to stop at the end of each question, talk about one, because I want you to feel the rhythm of what that's going to be like as well. All right?
Okay.
Everybody ready? Ready? Okay, that's good. So, question number 1. What does the board consider to be its top priorities for the school district?
Well, our top priority is, like we've always talked, is
Our students.
student safety when they're with us. You know, we had Uvalde shooting. That we were one of the first districts in the state to fully pass that we were going to have an officer at every single campus. Before it was mandatory, we had already approved we were going to have an officer at every single campus, even elementary schools and everything. So I think that's our main focus is our kids' safety first before we can teach them anything, and they have to be safe. And we did that before the state even mandated that.
I think safety is definitely important, but I think every decision that we make student-centered, and we take into consideration our stakeholders, our community, and our staff.
Which takes us back to our mission, is to prepare every child that comes to us to be productive citizens and lifelong learners.
I also think that when we're talking about student safety, it's not just physical, it's mentally,
That's good.
it's mentally, it's the whole student.
Yeah.
Also, making sure that our students have a wide range of opportunity, and making sure that we provide those opportunities to our students.
And those opportunities, not necessarily just in the classroom, but our legacy clinic is one of the opportunities that we provided for our students and our community that I think has far reach into our community, and that really benefits our students.
All right. Okay,
Where
so
are
I
we
will
with
say this
time?
real quickly. So that was 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Yes, it's long.
I thought it was going to be about a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's long. It's long.
Six.
So I say that to say, and I know I said I wasn't going to stop in between, so this is the only one I'm going to stop in. But because of that, if they hadn't given you the signal yet, no, I like the way you've introduced this
The
legacy clinic. You could have said a little bit more about kind of what that is. You could have given another 20 seconds to, because they'll give you a heads up before your time's up. Okay, very good, very good. Y'all ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you as a board stay apprised of progress being made on student outcome goals?
We have a dashboard, KPI, so key performance indicators that we look at, and it has all of our goals and what the status is, and so we review that quarterly, and we determine where we're falling short or where we need improvement, and we can adjust our strategy.
We also have workshops that we do as a board on some of the key performance initiatives and things that we're possibly lacking, we'll have workshops so that we can better understand how to provide better services or maybe increase that key performance initiative.
And we also receive weekly information from the superintendent, where he's sending us information on what's going on in the schools. So there's no secrets, and we'll know what the kids are doing, what everybody's doing.
I would add, like Amanda said, we do have that dashboard, but the role of the school board is to manage the progress of our goals. When we first created these goals 5 years ago, we made sure that they were measurable goals that we were able to manage the progress.
Another measuring opportunity is our actual direct relationships with the community. We are all actively involved in many environments in our community, and the reality is that if there are any issues that come up, we direct them back to the administration, and we work closely with them to find some solutions if there are any. But just respectfully, the small number of complaints that exist, we get more compliments, truthfully, about what's going on than complaints. And if there are something, it's something that can have an easy solution that the administration takes on immediately.
And to add to that, I think the reason is just because we want to be as transparent as we possibly can with our community. We want to make sure that they understand what we're doing, that they understand that we're measuring the progress of our students and our staff, and so transparency is a big component of that.
It's time. That's 2.5 minutes. Next question. How do you deal with unique personalities or differences of opinion on the board that may result in conflict?
I think for us as a board, we have a very high regard and respect for each other. And one of the things that we do is we communicate very well with each other. And so even though there might be a difference of opinion, we have a conversation about it. We talk to each other about, what your idea is versus what my idea is, and we come to an agreement that always puts the students first.
And we listen to each other.
Yes, we listen, and I think we've worked well and long enough together to know that none of us have a personal agenda. We are all here for the students and the community. And so when we do maybe have a difference of opinion, like Noe said, we look at, okay, your opinion's this, my opinion's this, which one benefits the students more? And how can we come to an agreement?
I think we all are committed to governing with civility. I think it's very important that we set the standard for our students as well as our administration. And when we do that, I think that builds trust with our community. So I think we all are committed to that. And whenever we have to make a hard decision, we make sure that it aligns with our goals and that first and foremost, it's student first.
Also, we do come from different backgrounds. We all have our own path in life, as Dr. Moore introduced us. So we all come from different walks of life. So of course we're going to have differences of opinion. But our main goal is to put the student first. And every one of us in this room does that, no matter what.
And we also build on the strengths of each other.
Right.
Everybody on our team brings something different and unique to this team of 8.
And just to add to that, I think we're a very diverse board. A lot of us are involved in a lot of different community programs, involved in the community, through band, through sports, through Rotary, through different, but we get along good. We're a very diverse board, but we get along very good. We're friends, not enemies.
Excellent. Great. All right, next question. In a state of various public opinions coming from every direction, How has your district kept its focus on student achievement?
I would say going back to that dashboard. That dashboard is very important because like we said earlier, that measures the goals that we've set as a district. And so being able to look at those results and determine if there's some changes that we need to make, I think that's how we're able to do that.
Go ahead. All right. The other part is like, regardless of the state political issues that are going on, at the end of the day, our children are still hungry. They're still at a different financial, socioeconomic situation, that those issues are not directly impacting them. They're trying to figure out where they're going to eat tonight. And those are the fundamental things that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis to make sure that they still are successful and they still graduate, they still want to come back to school. And that's by providing tremendous support to the teachers and the administration that take care of them every day. So without our support of the administration that takes care of the teachers every day, the students wouldn't want to come back to school. This is their only safe haven sometimes.
That's great. I think the key word there, Jose, is support. Mm-hmm. We support the educational performance that the instructional leaders are giving to our kids that have been established by the state. So regardless of what's going on, we're going to support Dr. Moore and those that have been assigned to carry out these goals. We can't carry them out, but we support those that are in line to carry them out.
I think another thing that we do count on is the data that we get from the state, from TEA, from various organizations. Our data speaks for what our kids need, and our performances go with this data.
What was the question?
All right.
Don't ask that during the meeting.
You were going to answer right away.
What'd you say?
Are we going to be allowed to have anything to write?
I didn't forgot what the question was.
Noe, I don't know the answer to that. Whether Noe asked if you'll have anything to
Ramon,
be
do you
able to
remember
write
anything?
down.
Is it a little pad that we can kind of
like to
jot?
write, but they didn't give us the questions.
Ramon?
No questions,
Yeah,
but do they
we
give
could
you-
write.
Yeah, we could write down the questions so we
when
can-
we win, you had something to write with.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we're answering the question.
What was the question again?
What
That
was the
question
question?
sounded good. The question was, in a state of various public opinions coming from every direction, how has your district kept its focus on student achievement? So,
Okay.
yeah. All right. Next question.
What were you going to say? Because you were going to say something.
Well, I think I was going to take the route of we definitely need to know our community and the demographics of our community. I think it's important to know that just because you don't have a child in the district, you feel like you're not directly affected, but you are definitely indirectly affected because our children are our future, and we want to make them as competitive and as ready for the future as possible.
Excellent. All right, next question. What have been the most impactful policies or programs put in place to improve student achievement?
The state mandate on safety that we jumped on before we ever even was mandated to do it, when we made sure that there was a police officer at every school in our district, at least one. Safety is very important. And as a result of it, before the state made sure that we did that, we'd already jumped on it.
I want to add the continuous and growing support of the fine arts programs in all the campuses, because children remember what they did in band and in choir more than they learned in English class. That keeps kids in school.
Another program I think that does that really well is our CTE program. Mm-hmm. And we do a really good job of preparing all of our students, because college may not be for some students, and so we do a very, very good job, and we make sure that our students have the resources, so that because if they don't decide not to take the college route, then we give them opportunities with the programs we have in our CTE program to excel and become productive citizens.
And adding to that, a lot of our students do get certified in their special, whatever programs that they were taking, say,
Welding.
Auto mechanics, welding, cosmetology. They get different certifications in those areas, like also pharmacy tech. There's so many out there. So we are preparing our students the best that we can.
All right.
I think we could have probably added the early college and our early college high school. So we saw that there was a need to make sure that our students gain these certificates like Noe suggested, but we saw that there was a need, and I want to say, so early college was like 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
Initiated 5 years ago, but it didn't become a school till probably 4 years ago.
Right. 4 years ago.
It started as a program and grew into a school.
Okay. I'm just thinking like we probably could have mentioned that. I don't know how, but.
How much time was that?
That was right at 2.5 minutes. Yeah, so we're almost now to our 3 minutes.
So 4 or 5 of us are
Yeah.
kind of interjecting, and that gets us real close to the 3 minutes.
It does.
So that might be something to think about too.
All right. Beyond the school board meeting, how else do you provide a voice for your constituents and community?
Many of us are active in the community. For example, I am on the board for our Challenger League and our North Shore Little League. We offer sports to children with disabilities. Our SPED department, they have a lot of leaders and teachers that are also giving their free time for that program. We're involved in our churches. We have members that are involved in Rotary and the Chamber. And so I think we're always getting people letting us know their opinion, what they think, how we're managing the school district, all of that. And so I think we hear it from everywhere.
That's
And
so
I
true.
also think that, that makes another point of us trying to be as transparent as we possibly can with our community. But we also offer a number of opportunities for our community to speak to our leadership. We have student advisory boards. We have the community advisory boards that, where they can come and actually voice their opinions, be involved with making some of the decisions, making some of the recommendations for decisions that will impact our students and community. So that's another way that we communicate with them.
And this is a plus about Galena Park, ISD. We're a small community, and parents, community members don't have a problem with coming up to you in the grocery store or anywhere, telling you this, that, or the other. But what we do is we make sure that we listen, but we take that information back to the superintendent and let him designate where we need to go to get an answer. But we always are engaged in our community because somebody's always asking questions. I just had a lady call me, and I really was embarrassed because I couldn't. She said, I got that book that y'all sent, and that is so good. And she's not a parent. She doesn't have any kids in school, but she lives in the community. She said, I want to thank y'all for my taxes. I paid $1.
But I also want to
I was
add.
like, okay, I got to find out from John how she paid $1.
I want $1 tax, right? We're also advocates for the district in our surrounding governments, right? We have direct relationships with the unincorporated areas and also in the cities that we have to exist within. We have areas that are part of the city of Houston, part of Jacinto City, part of the city of Galena Park, Precinct 1 and Precinct 2, and we're direct advocates for all of them. Is that time to shut up?
That was great.
Can I make a suggestion? We could have added something about the bond steering committee, and that's how we reach out to the community.
That's a really good
So,
point.
and
That's
we
some good
successfully,
specificity,
yes.
Right, we have advisory committee like the bond, which resulted in.
Yes,
76%.
and I think
76%.
making
None of us
sure
are bond.
how
Well, it doesn't have to
we
necessarily be the
explain the
bond.
how on how that steering committee was established. What type of people, community leaders, retired school, teachers, and what set us apart is we were very open with our communication. We were very transparent, and that they trusted us, and that's how we were able to successfully pass a bond where our surrounding districts weren't. But I know we were out of time, but I think that would be.
What I'll say, and we can talk a little bit more after all the questions, but while it's on my mind, y'all have done a good job of mentioning some of those good characteristics multiple times. Like I've heard transparency, I think 3 times I've written it down. Now the next step to that is adding like specific examples. So that's a great example of adding specific example. We involve, we engage the community, we operate transparently with the community. An example would be our bond advisory or bond steering committee, and the proof's in the pudding. We pass when districts are struggling to pass bonds. We pass the bond with 76% approval rate.
And I think we need to add that, every new school has community involved in that design of that school.
Yeah.
There's a group of community members involved with every school, so it's the community also has
See, we got this.
an input. I think that was a big thing, like Galena Park Elementary, that they wanted to keep the facade of the old school, and that was important. So we had to kind of incorporate that on the side, not in the front, but at least on the side.
Okay. All right, ready? Yep, next question. All right, school districts have faced unique challenges in recent years. What are examples of leadership your board provides to address challenges in your district?
I think open communication is definitely a way that we have addressed that. Some examples are each year we have parent meetings where we address like school safety, we address various different topics, and that's our way of being able to effectively communicate with our parents on a district level as well as on a school level. So keeping those open lines of communication and transparency with our parents, I think, is extremely important.
I'd like to add that I'd say a major point of recognition is that we operate in a fiscally conservative but socially progressive mentality. Meaning that at the end of the year, actually every day the district leadership or administration is making sure they count all their pennies because we need to. But we're also making sure that where we invest, we're going to get some good positive outcomes. So little simple things like turning off the air conditioning to save money. Other areas may not be doing it by redistributing headcount, by managing the student population. Respectfully, maybe hiring where it's necessary and relocating where it's, where it may not be the right place to have a teacher. That direct management and support allows the district to end the year, even though we might start off at a deficit. We know we're at a deficit, but at the end of the year, we still had the success, we still had the graduation rate, and we came close to either ending at a balanced budget or at a slight deficit. But it takes day-to-day management with a fiscal eye.
And I agree with you 100% because I feel that the 8 of us are pretty much standing on shoulders of those giants that were before us, that were good stewards of the finances. And Galena Park has always, we're not rich, but we've always stayed above, been able to make sure our kids get everything they need, even if the state wasn't giving us something, as well as make sure our teachers get a raise or something decent. So I really feel that being good stewards over your finances helps with making sure your district can go on and further. Because just like what you said, Jose, but you know, somebody before us had to make sure that the finances were right, and then somebody before them. So we just continue to carry that on.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Next question. How can you, as a board member, impact state and federal legislation related to public education?
We pick up the phone and call our elected officials at the state. They know who we are. And we're going to continue to stay engaged with them. And we need to speak even more in a united voice, because they're making decisions for us that are impacting us on a daily basis, and sometimes, no, many times not positively. They'd love to give us unfunded mandates that we fit into our budgets, but it's not getting easy.
Unfunded or underfunded, and that's hard when we are, you know, economically disadvantaged, and we have, what, 88% low income or Title I schools. And so I think lobbying, making sure that we're aware of the issues, making sure that our community is aware of the issues so that we can call our reps or write letters, but making sure that everybody stays informed of how those decisions impact us.
Our superintendent is very, very close with our retired educators that live in the community, and making sure that they know exactly what's going on, because they can lobby as well and talk to the state, and they do.
So keeping a good open line of communication with our community, I think, is a big part of that. And that's something that we really strive to do at Galena Park I.S.D.
And as a board, I believe also there were 4 of us that attended the
Washington, D.C.
the Texas Federal Advocacy Convention in Washington, D.C.
Right.
In February. And we just need to advocate for our students.
That's right.
And that was one big way to speak with Congress people and get us the information that we needed so that we can fight for our kids.
Also, I'll add, our superintendent does a good job by making sure that workshops are given to us so that we do understand those state mandates. For example, you know, the new mandate about the cell phones not being in schools during the day. So that was something that we definitely had to wrap our minds around and understand, and you know, also make sure that we voted on.
And I think to add to that, we're good friends with our state reps. We're good friends with our congresswoman. We know them on a personal basis. So when we're calling them, they know us. They know who we are. So they listen to us. They might not do what we want, but they'll listen to us.
Very good.
Good job, Norma, remembering us.
Yes, that's a great ad.
All right. Great. What makes for an effective and healthy superintendent-board relationship?
Open communication and no secrets. Our superintendent is good about, we have a team of 8 that with communication, and I'm not saying this to be joking, but if somebody sneezes in Galena Park, we're gonna know about it, because superintendent's gonna make sure we know everything that's going on. So if the media gets something, we already have heard it. Of course, they might fix it the way they want to put it, but there's an open communication where there's no secrets and no surprises. And I think that's a very big plus.
I do definitely agree with you. You know, our superintendent keeps us abreast of all issues so that we're not blindsided. And we trust him, and, you know, there is transparency. He has an open door policy. So if I hear something from somebody in the community or a teacher friend of mine or something, I know that I can take it to him and he's going to do whatever he needs to do to take care of it.
I think that there's an open door policy, I like to call it, between the board and the superintendent. We know that, John's door is always open for us to go and communicate whatever it might be, good, bad, and indifferent, right? Because it's important to our community and our kids. And so that open door policy, I think, is one of the reasons why we have such a good level of communication and such a good rapport with our superintendent.
And I would like to add that he's really good about saying the why. A lot of times we make decisions and we put things out there, and if you don't say the why, it's hard for people to get on board or understand. And so there's been times when even I've called him and I'm like, hey, this doesn't make sense. This is a complaint I got, or this. And he's like, well, let me tell you why, and gets down to the root of it. And so I think that's really important.
Also, we can trust that he's going to bring in the right resources. So whether we need to address some or to speak with our legal counsel or the experts in the district, he makes sure that we have the right resources to make the right decisions.
And just another point I'd like to make is, we talk about our board being, diverse in the community. Well, our superintendent has been here for 39 years. I think this was his 36 years. I think this was his. I think he worked somewhere else for a year, maybe, and then he's been here ever since.
I want to add one piece here. We also are real transparent about our personal agendas as elected officials, and I can safely say that the majority of our agendas align, and they all are to support the students and the staff of Galena Park I.S.D. Whereas maybe some other boards may not be as united and have different agendas. So we also make his life a little bit easier by making sure, a lot easier, he says, to making sure that our conversations are united, and we're usually asking the same thing of the administration. So a little credit to us too there.
All right. Go to the next one. How does your board communicate with each other and with the superintendent when you're not in a board meeting?
We do have a team of 8 text string that is for communication between the superintendent and the board, and we obviously always follow the rules for boards and meetings, and make sure that we are always within those guidelines. But we talk to each other. I mean, we will have conversations when we need to have conversations, and everyone on this board knows that they can go to anyone else and speak to them openly and have a good conversation, and know that you'll be heard, and that they will take into consideration what your points are, and that's one of the things that really benefits our board, is that we have such good communication.
And I think too, like Ms. Linda alluded to earlier, we all have strengths and weaknesses. And so I can pick up the phone if I hear something, or I'm pondering on something, and say, hey, Jose, somebody came to me with this, or what do you think about this? I was going to bring it up. And as long as we're not in a group of 4 with a quorum, we kind of talk, and then we can bring things up in a board meeting. Or Elizabeth, our board secretary, if we have questions before board meetings, we email her, she gets it to Dr. Moore, and then that's communicated to all of us.
Okay. All right, next question. When a parent or patron stops you in the community or contacts you with a problem, a school problem, how do you respond?
I listen. We listen, because that's what we are elected to do, to be their voices and to take a moment to listen. And we also, I coach them on the process. Have you contacted your principal? Have you spoken to the administration? If that hasn't happened, that's the first step you have to go to. We make sure that those steps are followed through, because at the same time, we may end up being level 3 grievance. So we're limited to the amount of information we need to get ourselves involved with. So we're real respectful of that process, send them back to the procedures. We'll make mention, there's been moments where I make mention to our superintendent and just give them a heads up. But most of the time, it's just take that moment to listen. A lot of times, just a good 5 minutes of paying attention calms a lot of the situations.
I think the most important part of that, Jose, is that we listen. Number one, we listen to their complaint or their issue or whatever they're having a problem with. We're going to listen, first of all. And then usually, not usually, but always, we never make a promise. We are never committal to anything about what they're saying. But then we do say that we're going to take it to someone who can help them or has an answer for them. So we don't keep it to ourselves. We're going to communicate it with our superintendent or with someone else that knows the answer.
And oftentimes, if it is a situation, that they're passionate about, just us listening does diffuse the situation, and being able to communicate that chain of command to make sure that they're following it, but also like Dr. Moore does with us, keeping us abreast of any issues so we're not surprised later. We do the same courtesy to him, like, hey, this person called me, I've told them to take it to their principal or whatever the case may be, but I just want to give you a heads up. And oftentimes he's already aware of the situation, but if not, he kind of digs in a little deeper.
Like everybody said, first we listen. And I know for me personally, we're building a new high school right across the street from my church. So every Sunday I would get stopped by a parishioner. So we got a $230 million high school. And they're asking me, well, why are we doing this in the street? Why are we doing it? And I said, okay, look, we need to calm down. This is construction. They try to clean it up. But sometimes, rain happens on Friday. They couldn't finish cleaning it up or stuff like that. So I tell them this is going to be better, not just for our children, because that's who's going to go to this new high school. I wish we had this school when we were here. So I said, we got to be patient. It's construction. They're right across the street. I said, but we got to. And then I said, well, I'm going to talk to the architect, and I'm going to talk to so and so, and we're going to get it resolved. And all the time, most of the time, it's like Jose, like everybody said, you just listen, and then you just tell them, hey, you got to be patient with it. Especially with something like that. There's nothing we can do. If it rains on Friday and then there's dirt on the street and, we go to Mass on Sundays. But we just got to make the best of it. A lot of stuff, a lot of the issues sometimes are not even big issues. It's something that, they just want somebody to talk to.
Exactly.
All right, next question. What efforts does the board make to try to stay current and to gain the most growth from your board member training? What efforts does the board make to stay current and to try to gain the most growth from your board member training?
We go through the exact same staff development that we're expecting our employees to go through. When I say staff development, I mean board training, attending conferences, and just like we're doing tonight, working with the team of 8 with you. But we make sure we stay abreast when policies have been made, legal or local, and they're passed down to us, they're explained to us. So we try to make sure we have knowledge of anything and everything that's going on. We don't expect to be the experts, that's why we have a superintendent. But we do attend lots of training throughout the year. And we have an administrative assistant that makes sure, we are where we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to be.
And that's, I think what Linda's saying is very, very true. We all know what we need, how many more hours we need. We usually always go to TASB together. Most of us usually go to TASB together. So we already know what's expected of us. So everybody takes the time, from their busy schedule to attend conferences or not to the Region 4, because it's expected of us that we complete every year, and I think every year everybody does complete their hours because it's mandatory, and plus we want to do it.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we know everything that is going on with all the change, especially from the state every year. So we want to make sure that that we're up to date.
It's important to note, too, that when we do attend those conferences, there's so many different courses offered. And so we make sure that we don't all attend the same courses, that a few of us attend different courses so that we can come back to the group and share, hey, this is what I learned, this is what this school district's doing, or what that school district's doing. A lot of times we're ahead of the game, but, we do share that so that we can get a lot of different ideas and perspectives.
And I think that it's that collaboration that Amanda was talking about that really helps us kind of stay abreast of what's going on and really makes us a board that stands out in the state.
All right. What is one thing you're most proud about of your district that uniquely qualifies you to be the Texas Outstanding School Board?
I am really proud of our legacy clinic. So we are 88% economically disadvantaged, and I think we recognize the need for our students to have a place that they can go where their parents don't have to miss work, and they can go and get help, whether it's help physically or mentally. And so those are services that we provide, and I think that's been a game changer for our district. And also, I'd like to note, I'm very proud of our SPED program. We have a buddy relay, which if you're not familiar with that, I don't know a lot of districts who do anything like that, but it's like, you have field day for your elementary kids, and it's a time where they can participate in races and things and, have a lot of fun. And to see these students that are disabled be able to have things like that and participate in an activity like that, it will light up your whole world. And so I think those are two things that I'm really proud of in our district.
I'm really proud of our academic and fine arts success. The level of competition and success that we have had as a district, even though we happen to be 88% economically disadvantaged, it's not a factor in the level and quality of competition that we do. I mean, for us to have a marching band in the state marching band competition multiple years in a row, students getting into the best universities in the country. I mean, it's in surviving and succeeding and becoming, our next generation of leaders coming out of this environment. So for me, that's the biggest thing. That's our hidden talent, our secret. But it's because of the staff. The consistency of leadership. We have principals that are, I think the median average or the average is like 10 years in position. I mean, that's unheard of in many of the districts, right? So just the fact that we support them and they're willing to stay in position and provide that culture at their campus. I take pride in seeing our administrative leadership see their next generation and their homegrowns come back to them and say, hey, you were my principal, or you were my teacher. That says a lot about the culture of this district.
One of the other things I think we're all very proud of is our student nutrition programs. Mm-hmm. Like you've heard, and many of us have mentioned that, our students are economically disadvantaged. And so being able to feed them on a daily basis, even during the summertime, is a fantastic blessing, and we are super proud of that.
The question
And
asks
free.
The
Breakfast
question,
and lunch.
CEP program. You got to mention it. You got to say the words so they'll all know what that is.
Okay.
CEP.
the question asks for one. There's a professor by the name of Martha Collins, came out of Tuskegee Institute, and she, her thing was, I will not let you fail. The thing I'm most proud of is in Galena Park I.S.D., there is something for every child. And if they choose to fail, it's because by choice. There's something offered for everyone. But since I gotta say one, and I gotta be honest, I am so proud of Galena Park High School. We are building a state-of-the-art high school in a very, very, very low socioeconomic area that just sits out. And the community is so proud of it, and I am too, as a graduate of that school and living in that community. I am so very proud. It's just, our facilities all look good, but that is just something that is overdue.
And they deserve it.
All right, y'all survived.
How many
We're
questions
done?
was that?
That was 13 questions. Y'all won't have time for 13 questions.
So can I give them a little bit of
Give us
feedback?
some feedback.
Yeah, I've got some
So-
feedback to share too.
So, Jose, I'll work backwards. You just said how great it is to have people come back. And you could say, like, we even have a teacher on our board that taught our board members.
That's right.
Okay? So when you're doing those specifics, that's the kind of thing that blows people out of their chair, right? You can say that. When you're talking about the buddy relays, Amanda, when you're talking about the buddy relays, you have to, the reason we do the buddy relays is not just for that group of kids to go outside. It's for them to also interact with the regular kids.
Right.
So each kid gets a buddy.
Buddy.
So we have a regular ed kid and a special ed kid competing together.
Yes.
That's the magic of the event.
Yep.
Right? And it's K to 12, the whole thing, right?
A lot of times it's our star athletes that are
Yes.
doing
They're
it.
out there.
Yeah, that's
When we
true.
talk about the legacy clinic, the whole idea, when you talk about it, it's a doctor's office, blah, blah, blah. When you say things like, we've had 35,000 plus visits over the last 4 years, and half of those have been for socio-emotional situations. Superintendents, it's going to blow them out of their shoes, right? So we're hitting on every little thing, but we got to go that last step and put that specific example in. You know, and Miss Hernandez is sitting right here with us. And 2 of her students are right here with us. Right? Those are the kind of things that make us really special.
It personalizes it.
When we talk about the history of Galena Park High School, and Linda says, I graduated from that school. You need to say what year you graduated, Linda. I finished this year from this school. It's been my school forever. And I am so very proud. You know, it was old when I was there.
Yeah, it really was. The fire was the best thing that happened to us. Remember when they had the fire?
Those little specific tidbits are what's going to...
It personalizes it. They're going to remember the personal part of it. They're not going to remember the less personal part.
The
of
talking
it. Yeah.
points.
Right. Yeah.
No,
Is that it?
Yes.
All right, y'all did great, by the way. I think y'all should feel really good going into this. Some of my things are going to sound nitpicky, and the reason they are nitpicky is because y'all are doing a really good job, and you've only got maybe a few little things. So I'm going to give some general things. If you can, and again, some of these suggestions are with the caveat of if you can do it while being natural. So if it doesn't feel right, don't force it. One thing is when you're referring to, you're kind of piggybacking on the first person's answer, try to remember to use the word and instead of but. I know you don't mean, when you say but can mean that I'm saying something different, and what you're really doing is adding on. So if you think about using the word and instead of the word but, and, you know, as Ms. Hernandez says, and instead of but. I thought about that. When you're talking about if you're given the opportunity to answer a question related to the board superintendent relationship, or a question about like your academic goals and things like that. Those are 2 great opportunities to be very explicit about your roles and the superintendent's roles. Now, y'all did a really good job of that, like when you were talking about, you know, if a community member approaches you and things like that. But remember to bring those up when you're also talking about the for instance, I love the idea that you shared about your dashboard. And then in saying that, that allows us to do our role of monitoring the progress. And then we get to hear from the superintendent in his role of the strategies that he's going to put in place. So that way you as the board aren't changing the strategies. The superintendent is, you're monitoring and saying, hey, we'd like to see our early childhood reading scores maybe go up a little bit more. So that's always a good opportunity to interject the roles part. If the legacy clinics, we believe is going to be a good, strong story for us, I want to hear about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
You did a good job of it there at the end. It was mentioned briefly in some other places, but if you're if you're given a question about challenges, I would, unless they specifically say challenges within the board, I want you to, when you hear challenges, you think of your community and the challenges that your students face and what you do to provide for them. And I think the legacy clinics would be something that could come up 2 or 3 times throughout.
And remember, it's medical, behavioral, and dental.
And so what I would do,
That's our
whoever
number
is
one
the
goal.
first to mention it,
Mental, physical, emotional.
make sure y'all actually did great on time on all of your, rarely did you run out, because remember, my timer was going off in 2.5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So y'all were doing good on time. So whoever brings up the legacy clinic first, say what they are. It provides medical, physical,
Medical, socio-emotional,
and dental care
for all of our children in our district
And their families.
siblings.
Their siblings.
Not their
As
parents,
long
their
as they-
siblings. So little brothers and sisters are all eligible. So if you got
As
a
long
first
as they're not
grader,
18.
the 3-year-old can go.
And we know of its impact. We know of its impact because we know there have been over 30,000 visits to these clinics, half of which have served students that were needing help in social emotional issues. So the data is clear, and then tie it to the classroom. And tie it back to the classroom.
Kids don't have to
Attendance,
leave,
they don't have to
so
miss
therefore they don't miss instruction, and that helps us
Parents don't
produce
miss
our
work.
accountability scores.
And in a community that serves where almost 9 out of every 10 students are economically disadvantaged, so that way if you don't want to have to remember that it's 88 or 87 or whatever,
I'm gonna remember
almost
that.
9 out of 10
By the way,
students in our
Also,
district.
Legacy Clinics also serves our employees' children.
Right.
So if you're an employee here, your kids get that.
And that's a great partnership. It started out as the Amata Clark Center. That's what we had, the ACT Clinic over at Cloverleaf Elementary.
Yeah.
And as a result of it, we got a partnership with Legacy.
So
And
remember
from there-
that story part, because you want to weave that throughout. So it may definitely be at the end if you get a question like that, kind of that, hey, what is a legacy, or no pun intended, or something that you may want to bring that back up, but you should have mentioned it prior to, because that's going to be that hook that you.
That's the story.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the story.
like, we can safely say that Legacy's helped increase attendance records.
You can say Legacy's increased attendance, you can say Legacy's increased test scores, you can say Legacy's increased participation in almost everything we do. Because kids don't have to leave to go and get that care. It all happens for them at our facilities, and we have 4 of them.
Right.
But the social emotional stuff can be done online, so they never leave their school for that.
Right.
They go sit in the counselor's office, in a private office, and online.
I just want to add for the legacy clinics, please also keep in mind the parents don't have to take off of work
Right.
to do it. So
Right.
they're more willing to access the care for their students because think about who our parents are and when they're working. A day off equals no pay for many of our parents. A day off for our teachers equals a substitute in the classroom. So So the willingness to go get care early in the mental health or the physical health is also a big benefit. And remember why we all started off on that. Think about the loss of all the health care in our community after all the flooding.
Yep.
Think about the adversity in the community. We lost a lot of health care in our community. We lost the hospital. We lost a lot, and this fulfills a need for our community.
I think that's going to be super important to highlight. Like, we lost our only hospital in the community.
So the district
So the
is
district
filling
stepped in.
that void.
Yes,
It stepped up
absolutely.
and is filling that void, and
One of the children, yeah.
Yeah.
you, I love the idea if you get a question, I don't know if you will, but if you get a question about board training and development, I love that concept that y'all mentioned of setting the example. We're the governing body of an educational entity. Yes, we're going to set the example, and we are going to be trained, and we're going to be informed, and we're going to take it seriously. I like that. Another thing I liked, y'all brought it up a couple of different times. Y'all brought it up in the question about the effective superintendent-board relationship, as well as how you handle if a community member approaches you, the no surprises. Those superintendents on the panel are going to want to hear that.
Dr. Epps just called. She said she wanted to make sure you guys could also relate for the legacy clinics. No child is ever turned away for their ability to pay in the legacy clinics.
Good.
Like every child who arrives at a legacy clinic is seen, and it's offered throughout the summer. So this is not just during the school year, that this care is offered throughout the summer as well with the food, and you talked about the student nutrition program. So that would be another great time for the legacy clinic to come up, that we feed them and offer the healthcare services throughout
What was the
summer.
acronym for
CE.
For nutrition.
CEP.
CEP.
Community eligibility.
Community eligibility program. See, it used to be, a lot of school districts had it, well, with the cut in funds, not everybody's been able to keep it. We have. So when you say that to superintendents, they'll all know what it is, and then the real question, which they won't ask, will be, how did you keep it?
How'd you get to keep it?
How'd you get to keep it?
So that will
We don't
really
know, but we got
solidify the needs of the community.
Next question.
Hired a really good
No.
person over that program.
Yeah.
Kidding.
We were good
Good
stewards
stewards.
when we got the program. We were very good stewards of that program, so that's how.
We got to keep.
And CEP was what again? Community?
Community
Eligibility. So the
program.
community qualified for the program, not the school district.
Right.
Let me see, looking at my notes here, I think that is about it. I think you did a good job of spreading the wealth in terms of, I literally have a little tally marks. I don't know if y'all noticed me doing that, but I had your names written down and was tallying each time, and so that's good. I think it's pretty well represented with everyone, so I don't have to pick on anybody tonight about not talking, speaking
job,
up.
Norma.
Usually it's, if I have to pick on somebody, it's for not speaking up. It's not the other way.
So Robbie, I have one more question.
Okay.
So a lot of times, personal touch has something to do with how well people connect. So would it be advisable for us to go in and shake hands with every judge?
Yes, unless.
Before we start or after we finish?
I do it before we start. That's just my habit. Usually.
My honest first reaction to that question is, why not both?
Okay. All right, so then why,
Why
okay,
not
so.
a nice to
so-
meet you handshake at the beginning and a thank you for your time handshake?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And
so-
thank you for serving on the
So we
committee.
have to orchestrate that. So we
Yeah,
need to
'cause
walk
that's a
in a
lot of
certain
us.
fashion and in a line, and we need to go down saying,
Now-
nice to meet you, John Moore, Adrian Stevens, Noe Esparza.
How many judges?
I think there will be 5, either 4 or 5. Now, having said all that, let me just say, I think that's a great idea. And if for some reason they are so rigid where they escort you in and don't give you the opportunity, don't let that throw you off your game.
Right.
Right? Be prepared to do it, but if you You know, it's like when to use a football analogy, I step up to behind center and I look over at the, the defensive backs are doing something I didn't think they were going to be doing. You've got to call an audible. So just, I think it's a great thing to plan to do, but don't let it throw you off your game. Yeah.
Because
I like that.
it's 8 of us
Do you think
been
we said
trying to
I
get.
think too much?
Huh?
I think every question we said, I think.
We think. Yeah, I didn't write that down, so I didn't pick up on that. I didn't. No, I really do. I would encourage you to think more about going deeper with a couple of really significant, like the legacy clinics, right? Like the buddy program, like the buddy day, those kind of things, the nutrition program. Go deeper with that than trying to think of as many different things as possible.
Yes. Hey, so that's a pretty good suggestion. Instead of using the word special ed, regular ed, non-disabled, disabled, same.
Yeah.
They mean the same thing. They're
But
just,
they don't use special ed anymore.
it's just a different term. It's just a suggestion, but mentally challenged.
Challenged.
I mean, our acronyms in education.
Yeah.
But that's just another example, and I do think that's probably a good idea.
What questions can I answer for you that I've not answered yet?
So we'll enter the room and they'll already be in there.
Yes.
Okay.
And now, Robbie,
That's gonna be tough.
will we sit in a line? Will we sit?
That's what I don't, because I have heard different, depending upon the different locations. That we're back in Houston, I don't know, last year we were in San Antonio, but what I've seen.
Y'all were
In Dallas,
Yeah,
we were
what
in
I've
you.
seen,
And
what
then
I've heard
it was
most,
set up like this.
it's like this,
Yes.
and then
they were across the front.
they were across the front.
And I know that at Region 4 for the superintendent, that's
Yeah.
how it was.
Oh, okay.
It was 5 of us and then the superintendent was right there.
Like an interview,
So-
yeah, so you probably will be set up something very similar to this.
Do
So
you
you'll be, the good news with that is you'll be able to see each other. If for some reason they have it in a V or a line, that's, and again, okay, I don't want those things to throw you off your game, but just remember, kind of lean over and look and as someone else is talking, because that shows that, interest that you have in your teammates.
Do you know how long is in between each interview?
I don't
Are they
think
like
it's
jam-packed
Yes,
time?
yes, that's why they have that
Elizabeth
staging
has-
area.
No more than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's why I say, I don't know the shaking of hands.
We'll shake their hands. We're good.
But I'm saying in the beginning and
maybe just at
that
the
seems
end.
unnatural.
Maybe just the beginning.
I don't know that you need to introduce yourself when you shake hands. I think you can just be good morning. Thank
It's
you.
a lot of people.
So the last time we saw the group before us leaving the room and the group after us getting staged and ready. It was that close.
Yeah, they're
Did they shake hands?
It's just gonna all be.
I
there
was,
in the
I
morning.
did not go in the room with them, I was just there at the door as they were
I
coming in,
don't,
Ramon was.
I've slept since then.
So,
That's been a
Dr.
long
Moore,
time.
going back to SPED, so it is our SPED program.
It
Like
is.
when I was talking about our SPED
No, I
program
think
and
that's fine. I think that's fine. I think with the buddy relays, we use
disabled.
this,
Okay.
yeah, or
'Cause it is
children with
sped
special.
program.
Dr. Evans
chil-
recommends.
But they don't,
children
yeah, they
with
don't use
special
special
needs.
ed.
Special
anymore.
needs.
Okay.
They don't
I know,
needs.
but when we were talking about the programs, it's the SPED
Yes, it is.
program.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can
Yes,
say.
you can say
it's
SPED program,
hosted by the
but
special
don't
education
describe the
department
kids.
For our students with
Students with special needs
to-
are paired up with other students.
Yeah.
And that way you don't even have to use the word regular
Yeah,
or
it's
special, it's just, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the beauty of that is everybody getting to work together.
And
Getting to know each other.
it benefits all parties
Inclusion.
involved, yeah.
I told y'all.
I think the greater benefit is for the students who are paired as buddies.
As buddies.
Yeah.
I think
And
they're learning more
I don't know
about
if
who
I.
they are as a person.
I don't know if I've
I
told
think the
y'all.
other children are very much enjoying the experience, but I think the children who are buddied with them are learning much more in the way of life skills.
Yeah.
So there is another school district that does it. And it's actually 2 school districts that do it together. I'm not gonna mention them.
But our children have.
But our
separate
children
ways.
attended those schools, so now that tells you, to those of you who know where our children went to high school. They went to early school here. But when I asked, they're 31 and 29 now, and when I asked them, hey, what do you remember about high school? That was their best day of high school. That's what they remember. I mean, I had a son that scored touchdowns and prom and all that. He doesn't talk about none of that. Had a daughter that was a cheerleader and all that.
Superstar buddy relays.
Superstar buddy relays is what they remember. And they can tell you what year and what stadium it was and who their buddy was. And so that's what's important.
Well, I want to thank y'all again for letting me come and spend some time with y'all tonight. I hope it was beneficial to you. I'll be at Tassatasby this weekend or next weekend, and so I'll be checking on y'all to see how it goes.
Terry,
oh yeah,
Terry will be in the group with us Friday
Just
morning.
last note, we are the only school district in the state of Texas that has legacy clinics.
Yes, we are.
So talk about unique, right? We are the only school district in Texas with them.
Perfect. We gotta play that
With
up.
clinics?
Yeah, we do.
Or-
With the legacy clinics in our schools.
But do other ones have clinics or?
They may have their, like a single clinic
Clinic,
of their
but not
own,
a-
but it's not like what we
It's not partnered with us.
It's a partnership.
Yeah.
With Legacy.
And the number was 35,000 last I checked. It's more than that.
Only public.
Just it's more than that. I'll try to get y'all a
Yeah,
number.
she's telling me.
I don't
She
know
says
if
only
Michelle
public
can get us a number, but at the time it was 35,000 and about 20,000 of those visits were social
And
emotional.
I've just talked to Dr. X about adding that information to your dashboard.
Tell Dr. X to come in.
Yeah, where is she? Tell her to come on.
She's watching you guys. Come
Tell her
on
to come on.
in.
We were
We
trying to
can
give
hear
y'all
you.
a quiet room where you didn't have
Yes,
distractions.
yes,
Tell her to come on back.
Yeah. All right, she hears.
Tell her, come on back.
Sneak her in.
And Terry,
Tell them all to
you
come
all
back.
need to know publicly that you all did a phenomenal job of preparing us, sending us those questions, as well as this book itself. I think it's just a matter of bringing this book to life,
That's it. Telling our story.
telling our
Well, it
story.
was easy because y'all had a story to tell.
Yeah,
It was easy
Exactly what?
because you have this story. I'm not worried about your passion coming out in your answers because it's genuine.
Is she here?
I think we just have to get the nervousness out, and I think this helped, role playing like
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
Just so that we can
Oh, okay, you're already there. Okay, yeah,
how
they
are
were
we
just
going to play
wanted
off
you to
of each
get-
other? These are the answers that would be
Okay.
good if we got that question.
I have Dr.
Because we
Epps on
haven't had a
speaker.
chance to do that.
Hey,
thank you.
You not here?
Yeah.
Okay. You got any feedback for him?
Put it on the mic.
We're still can't
On the
hear.
bottom.
Can't hear.
We can't hear.
We can't hear you, Dr. Epps. Let me get my phone. Okay, try that again. I can hear you,
are
but
you not on the speaker, Terry? or-
I thought I was. I have speaker turned on. Is speaker not turned on?
No, just tell her to tell you.
Okay, yeah, you can send it to me. I'll get it to him. Okay. Yeah, all right, thank you.
All right.
We heard that.
We
Yeah,
got
y'all
it.
heard that, right? She thought you guys did great. And she'll get you numbers and things like that. Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions? Y'all come over, so we'll be in touch. Y'all's famous mom is sitting behind me back there, just off of surgery.
What is our mom's feedback?
I fussed at her. Hell, I know.
Anyway,
She also has your certificate for
Okay, so
For tonight, yeah.
I didn't want to tell you I sent those to her or anything.
yeah, she said, just send her to me, I'll take
I
it.
don't want to tell you ahead of time because it may not show up. So.
I know we're all busy. I would like to do this again before.
Right.
That's just me.
Okay, so
Got a week.
hold on, let me
Now,
make sure you
we-
understand,
the
to do this
mandatory
as the whole
is
group,
Thursday, right?
it has to be an official board
Oh,
meeting.
okay.
So there's
Wednesday,
a,
we have a dinner.
That's okay. We'll keep practicing
Okay.
individually.
John, what was it that the lawyer was saying
I
that
think
we
I got more
could
out of
not
this.
do
Yes, me
as far
too.
as going to dinner?
oh, there's just a
What,
total
is it,
limit on what we can do
Oh.
for dinner. We're all right. for
We all
dinner.
right,
We just
okay.
can't do multiple with the same company.
Are we
Okay.
So
still being
we're okay
Okay.
for right now. And we'll,
Are you still?
the companies Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, we're having to
Yeah,
look
so
at
all
that.
the companies will have to keep track of that. We're fine.
It's actually the company
Wednesday,
that-
are we gonna go together? Are we meeting there?
So just to recap, I think the two biggest things I got is one, let's be ourselves, right? I think you talk about getting nurses out. Everyone's so talented and knowledgeable about everything going on. Just relax. They're human beings just like us, right? And number two, it's okay to be personal, because we are very personal and very involved in our community and in the district, right? At every level. So that's the two biggest takeaways I've got. And for me, the third, right now, I have the privilege and honor of getting accepted into Leadership TASB, and I just got the agenda. It starts at 7. Thank you. I reread it. It's at 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. And I'm like, okay, so that's the investment that we're going to do. You're talking about the investment in the community. So the Friday meeting, I got to talk to Dr. Long to make sure that I can break away and come back. So other than that, I'm excited. I mean, this is really cool for our community, for our area. You know,
Yeah.
I love
Let
it.
me share something with you guys. The young man that they've been showing on the news that was shot in the back. Like I say, in our community, they'll pick up the phone. I got a call that night from the neighbor, and the dad was on the phone telling me, this little boy's dad. And he had her to call me back to tell me how wonderful the district was coming to see about. And I thought, thank you. I was like, now why is she calling me? Miss Rod? I said, well, I can't talk to the media. She said, no, it's not the media, it's the dad. I said, somebody said the superintendent's aware and he's sending someone there, but they were so appreciative because there's 2 more boys.
Right. So there's 2 students at Galena Park High School we're very well aware of. Ms. Nava, the principal of the middle school, has done an exceptional job dealing with that. Y'all don't know this, but we've been contacted by numerous media outlets, and we've made no comments. There's a certain respect you do to the family. So, we've turned all of that down. We'll continue to do that. I mean, it's hard enough for a family anyway without hearing about it from us. So we try to be super respectful when that happens. And so far, I'm really proud of the way
And he was very appreciative.
Let us adjourn real quick. There being no other business before the board at this time, the meeting is adjourned. It is now 7:29 p.m.
Anyway,
Now we can talk.
but yeah, that's a tough deal.
Oh, it's the
And I'm
same.
talking